first thing is you talked about how you sort of built screens to give people, and I'm assuming it was to give people an idea of kind of how this thing would work. What was the general idea of what it would look like, but how it would work. So before you ever built, and I don't know this because I've never asked you this before, but before you actually built the app, you had screens built to actually go make your pitch to people so that you could get it built, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so they build these screens out, and I'm just like overly curious here, so just bear with me.
Sure.
When you built out your screens, in, kind of your MVP that people could look at and get an idea, like how many screens are we talking? What did that process look like when you got with the folks that you were with? What was that like?
Well, I guess maybe it's just me, but I don't know if this is that way for all entrepreneurs, but you have this vision in your head and you're like, oh, this is for sure going to work. This is for sure going to look this way. This is going to flow this way. This is what the user interface is going to be like. The user experience is going to be like this. To try and communicate that to someone else that just is purely on the development side proved to be a little bit of a challenge.
Right.
So you kind of go, I storyboarded some of those images and what I feel like they were in my head. Granted, I can't draw to save my life.
Were you actually
about as good as
were
drawing.
you actually drawing these to start? That's
Yes.
amazing. No, that's I love that.
But just to show the developer what my vision was, so they could start with the design screens, and I had to, go, this is going to take you here, and when you click this is going to take you here. So they got a feel, and they're like, they had that light bulb moment. Oh, okay, we get it now to some extent, but it's like that ebb and flow where you have to work with them and have them try and get in your head a little bit, which is a scary place. And try and communicate that and have it really come out to, it's a lot of back and forth, but it was really worth it for that first design screen moment. You have to think about not only style and logo and branding. Like I have a huge marketing passion and background. Logo and branding are huge for me, from that visual and how it's going to look to the user and how pleasing it's going to be. But then it's a whole other level when you talk about what an app's going to look like and how that's going to flow. So the number of design screens was probably, I'd say 15 to 20 at first. And again, just to show people, to show potential investors, this is what my vision is. This is what, and I did the same thing with Faves for sure. I was talking about the convention app when I first got those design screens from a developer, but I did the same thing with Faves also, where you just basically write it out on a piece of paper. You draw out what you think it's going to look like. So it's just an organic evolution, and it takes a long time.
Well, and I think that this is something that I think is extremely valuable to anybody that's out there. A lot of people think I've got to go right to a development house, or I've got to go right to a graphic designer to build that sort of stuff. And no, I think the most important thing that I pull out of what you're doing is like, I mean, I could totally relate as somebody that, has designed software from literally a scratch pad, passing it up the line. Right. But I think that's it. Is I talk to so many people and they've got an idea for an app and they're like, yeah, but I got to get this and this. I'm like, no, like get a notebook out and draw it. Like, it doesn't have to be pretty, but like, the fact that you can sit down and draw it, and what happens, I think, and you can speak to this, is what happens to your brain when you actually have to think screen by screen from a drawing perspective. It changes the way your brain works. And so I love the idea that you go from sketching it out to taking it to a development house that, kind of takes what you've sketched and they make it, they kind of polish it up and make it something. And then like you go to town from there and you go start talking to people that you want to invest and become a part of this.
If you want to listen to more episodes, learn more about our mission, or send us questions or feedback about the show, go to serialprogressseeker.com. You can help the mission by subscribing, reviewing, rating, and commenting wherever you listen to or watch podcasts.